Hello and welcome back once again to the Wrestling Rant. It is Monday, May 20th, 2013, and it was Raw tonight from Kansas City, Missouri. The show starts off kind of abruptly with an ambulance pulling in through the parking lot backstage, and it pulls around and it comes underneath the video screen and right out by the crowd, right next to the stage and the ramp. And everybody's like, well, what the hell's this ambulance for? Who's in it? The ambulance pulls up and it stops, and then the door opens, and who else but frickin' Ryback comes out of the back of the ambulance. So Ryback comes out of the ambulance, his music starts playing. He jumps up on top of the ambulance, and he's got a microphone. One thing I want to note is Ryback is decked out like a badass right now. He's wearing like blue jeans and I guess like a pair of just hiking boots or whatever the hell. But he's wearing one of his own t-shirts, of course, and over top that he's wearing this leather vest. And on the one side it says Ryback, and on the other side it says Rules. And then on the back it's got some logo. They never really show it very clearly, but it looks pretty badass. And of course he's also wearing his little R logo beanie that says Feed Me More in the back. But anyways, he jumps out of the ambulance, he jumps on top of it, he starts cutting a promo. He starts cutting this promo, and before he gets too far in it, it shows this exclusive footage taken during the post-show from Extreme Rules last night. And this was exclusive footage showing Cena refusing to be put into an ambulance. He would not let them put him into an ambulance. He's on the stretcher, but he's like, no, don't put me in the ambulance. And I'm like, bitch, you're hurt. Don't say no. Whatever. It cuts back to Ryback, and he's still cutting the promo. And essentially the promo goes, and he says, it was pretty clear that I beat Cena last night, but the official ruling is that there was no ruling. There was no official winner of the match because of the way the match ended. But he says, I'm challenging Cena to a match at the Payback pay-per-view. An ambulance match. And this is a match where it doesn't matter if you're still standing. It doesn't matter if your heart is beating. All that matters is who throws who into the back of an ambulance. But he's challenging Cena to an ambulance match, and that's basically it for the promo. It doesn't really go much further than that. He takes off. So we're starting to cut to commercial, and then the commentators say, Paul Heyman has an announcement later tonight. He's debuting his newest client. Because apparently, during the day, they've announced this. So later on, he's going to unveil this new client of his. And they also unveil, as they're cutting to commercial, that we're going to have us a tag team match up next. And it's going to be Fandango and Wade Barrett versus The Miz and Chris Jericho. Yeah. So, they cut to commercial, and they come back, and out comes Johnny with Summer Rae, of course. And they get in the ring. And then this weird new music hits. And I'm listening to it, I'm like, what the hell is this? And out comes Wade Barrett. If you're new to the WWE, you may not know this, but Wade Barrett has changed entrance themes like a half a dozen times already. It's ridiculous. And the guy sucks so bad, he's not even worth all the different changes in music. So I really just don't understand the logic behind this shit. Just fire the guy already. He sucks. He doesn't deserve to be Intercontinental Champion. End of story. But anyways, Barrett comes out. And then, of course, Miz and Jericho come out. And they start having their match. And about halfway through the match, or probably not even halfway, more like 3/4. 3/4 of the way through the match, Wade's in the ring with, I think he's in there with The Miz. Johnny jumps down to the outside, and he just spontaneously starts dancing with Summer. His music starts playing and everything. They start dancing. It's never really explained why. I guess he just felt like dancing. But, so they start dancing. Meanwhile, in the ring, The Miz, locks Barrett in the figure 4, and Barrett taps out. So The Miz and Jericho win. Just really weird stuff. Yeah, so anyways, after the match, Barrett bails, essentially. Of course, he got beat. He's not going to do anything after that. But The Miz and Jericho, they jump off of opposite sides of the ring, and Johnny and Summer are still over there by the announce table dancing. They don't care that they lost the match. They're not giving a fuck. Jericho and Miz jump down off opposite sides of the ring, and they come around from each side to try to trap Johnny. And Johnny looks over and he sees this and he's like, oh shit. He kind of shoves Summer towards Jericho, and he bails out through the crowd. He basically gets out through the timekeeper's area. He's still not giving a fuck. And I don't blame him, honestly. So, he bails out, and I think he actually decked a fan as he was running through the crowd. But, and he leaves Summer on her own. She ends up dancing with Jericho for a little bit, and then he kind of says, bitch, go fuck yourself, essentially. And he leaves, Miz leaves, and Summer's all dejected and, whatever. And then Vicky Guerrero comes out. Vicky comes out, and she announces that Jack Swagger later on will face either the Great Khali, R-Truth, or Randy Orton. And it will be decided by the fans if you go and vote on our new WWE app that, you know, all the stupid bullshit during the goddamn commercials. It's getting to be pretty sickening at this point that they just keep pushing this stupid app. It's really just getting ridiculous. But, that's it for that thing. I think they cut to a commercial after that. We come back. Daniel Bryan's back in the locker room. And then Kane comes in. Daniel Bryan's kind of sulking about the loss last night to Rollins and Reigns. They're going blah, blah, blah. Kane's like, you can't be negative and all this shit. And Daniel's all pissy. And then all of a sudden, Kofi Kingston pops up out of nowhere. And he's like, guys, we got a match later. And Bryan just says, I'll see you guys out there. And he leaves. And the segment just kind of ends. We cut back out to the arena. Sheamus comes out. And then the Primetime Players music hits. And I'm like, oh goody, a squash match.
Fortune favors you.
And, but yeah, so it's Titus O'Neil is the one facing Sheamus, by the way. Before the match starts, they show, again, a little bit more exclusive footage from the pay-per-view last night, again from the post-show. It shows Mark Henry leaving, and he says he's going home. So apparently Henry's gone for a while. That's fine. We won't miss you. But anyway, Sheamus and Titus, the match starts. And it's going for a while. Out on the outside, Darren Young tries to get involved, but he gets decked. But then Titus comes from behind and decks Sheamus. And they get back in the ring. And I don't remember exactly what happens, but Titus drops Sheamus. Just body slams him or whatever. No, wait. He did a weird fall-away slam, where normally with a fall-away slam you fall back and you go down with the guy. Titus instead just kind of hucks Sheamus over his head, and Sheamus falls and hits the ground, like, of course, like a fall-away slam, but Titus doesn't go down with him. And he looks right into the camera, and he says, "You think he's tough? You think he's fucking tough?" And they actually had to censor out the F-bomb droppage. So, I don't know, I think Titus might be getting the future endeavored treatment bullshit. Oh well, again, nothing of value will be lost. Later on in the match, Sheamus goes to hit the ropes, but Young trips him. But it doesn't matter. Sheamus ends up getting the win with the brogue kick, yada yada yada. It really doesn't matter. You really think Sheamus is going to lose to a couple of scrubs like O'Neil or Darren Young? It's not going to happen. But anyways, after that, Paul Heyman comes out. Looks like it's time for the unveiling of his new client. This segment sickened me so much. They hype this up like it's going to be the next big thing. He brought us Brock Lesnar. He helped get CM Punk over and all this other shit. It's going to be some big superstar, some big guy for the future or whatever. Heyman comes out and he starts talking. And he's saying the same sort of stuff. I'm going to give to you the newest big thing in the WWE. And he kind of gestures over towards the stage. The lights dim. except for the Titantron. And then this music comes up, and it shows on the Titantron, it's fucking Michael McGillicuddy. Joe Henning. And the music, as it cuts in from the intro, it's a remixed version of Mr. Perfect's old music. Mr. Perfect, of course, was Joe Henning's dad, Kurt Henning. Out comes frickin' Michael McGillicuddy, and apparently he's been renamed because the Minitron says Curtis Axel. His new name is Curtis Axel. The obvious references being, of course, his father, Kurt Henning, and his grandfather, Larry the Axe Henning. So it's just a combination of his father's first name and his grandfather's nickname. They waste this big debut on Michael McGillicuddy, who, in my opinion, is one of the most boring guys. And he's also not a very good wrestler from what I've seen. It's just ridiculous how much stock they think they're going to put in this guy. It's bullshit. But anyways, he comes out, and Heyman's hyping him up some more, saying all this and bullshit, you know. I really don't see the appeal here. You know, you could have used this spot for somebody like Cassius Ohno or like Leo Kruger or somebody who's actually good from NXT. But no, it's Michael McGillicuddy. Anyways, they're still talking, and out comes Triple H. And he's, of course, pissed off at Heyman still. And he essentially buries McGillicuddy, Curtis Axel, whatever you want to call him. But he essentially buries him. I remember what it was. He starts talking, Triple H comes out and he starts talking to Heyman. And then McGillicuddy thinks he's going to bow up to Triple H, and he says, if you've got something to say to him, you better say it to me. And then Triple H looks at him and he says, grown-ups are talking here, why don't you back off? Just completely buries him just with that one line. And then McGillicuddy later gets back in Triple H's face, and Triple H just slaps him. Knocks him on his ass with a slap. And then he says, you know what? I've changed my mind. Tonight, I'm going to have a match with this Curtis Axel guy. And after I get done kicking his ass, I'm going to kick your ass, Paul. So apparently we've got this match coming up for later on. They all leave, of course. And out comes Alberto Del Rio. And he's getting set for a match against Big E Langston. Big E comes out with AJ, of course. And, let's see. The match wasn't really all that long, and what ended up happening was Del Rio was trying to get Big E into the cross arm breaker. He's trying to get him into this cross arm breaker. Big E's fighting it off. He picks Del Rio up and he slams him down once, but Del Rio won't break the hold. And they end up tumbling out of the ring somehow. And from the apron, Del Rio slaps the arm breaker on Big E again. But Big E lifts him up, slams him into the corner post on the outside of the ring. And this breaks the hold, of course. Shortly after that, they both get back in the ring. What happened, the ending was AJ grabbed the stupid bucket that Ricardo keeps carrying around. She throws it into the ring, and it tumbles across and almost goes out the other side. But the referee sees it, and he grabs it and throws it out of the ring. And while the ref is distracted, Big E thumbs Del Rio in the eye. And then he's able to pick Del Rio up. He hits the big ending, and he wins. So Big E just beat, fairly quickly I might add, he just beat our number one contender to the World Heavyweight title. After this, we get a recap of Ryback and the ambulance stuff from earlier. And they announced that there's going to be a 6-man tag match later on. The Shield, all 3 members of the Shield versus Hell No and Kofi Kingston. They go to a commercial, they come back, and Layla's music is playing. Layla's in the ring. And so is AJ still. She stayed in the ring after the whole thing with Big E. So apparently we're having us a match, AJ and Layla. The match doesn't go for very long, but it's mostly Layla beating up AJ. But then out of nowhere, AJ locks in that submission move that I told you about from before. They're calling it the Black Widow. She locks it in on Layla, and Layla has to tap. And another little thing of note, before AJ leaves the ring, Layla's still, laid out on her back. I'm sure she's used to that. But she's still laid out. AJ gets on top of her, like straddling her. She picks her head up off the canvas with one hand, and with the other one, she kind of kisses her hand and blows it to her, And then she just kind of plants her head back into the mat. So, little kiss of death there, or whatever you want to call it. But anyways, I think there was another damn commercial. We come back. Cody Rhodes and Zack Ryder are both already in the ring. So they both get jobber entranced. Match goes for a while. Not really much to note from this match. Cody hits the disaster kick on Ryder and gets the win. So, Ryder's not even... he's not even good enough to actually take Cody's real finisher. He takes his little secondary move. But it doesn't really matter, because after the match, Ryback's music hits. And out he comes. Cody, smart move, decides to bail. Okay, fine. He bails. Ryback don't care, though. He goes into the ring and he grabs Ryder. Well, actually, he doesn't grab him. He waits for Ryder to get up. And he fucking comes running across the ring, meat hook clotheslines the hell out of Ryder. Then he picks Ryder up and power bombs the hell out of him. Just a flat-out power bomb. Then he picks him up again and gives him the shell shock. So, Ryder has just been fully squashed. But Ryder's not done yet, or Ryback's not done yet. He throws Ryder out of the ring, and then goes out with him, picks him up, puts him up on his shoulder, carries him over to the stage where the ambulance is waiting, and throws Ryder's dumbass in the back of the ambulance. Closes it up and has it pull away with Ryder in the back. After that, The Shield comes out. Their music hits. They come out of the crowd. And all three of them have microphones. They're all three in the ring holding their newly acquired championship belts. Thank God, you know. They come out and they're talking and they're saying, you know, we've beat up all these people, this and that. And, you know, all your heroes, we've beaten them down. Ryback we beat so bad we made him turn heel, essentially, is what they said. But they're talking, and they finish their promo. The stage blows the hell up with Team Hell No or Kane's pyro. Out comes Team Hell No. And then they cut to a commercial. When they come back, Kofi's already in the ring, so he gets jobber entranced. This match went for like 23 minutes, I think was the exact count that I saw on this. I do this message board thing where they keep track of stuff. But somebody said it was like 23 minutes long. There was like, I think there was 2 different commercial breaks during this match. It was ridiculous. It went for a while. But it was a great match. It really was. A lot of back and forth stuff. Finally, at the end, it kind of broke down. Trying to remember exactly what happened. Daniel Bryan and Kofi wound up on the outside. Bryan got suplexed on the floor by Ambrose. And Rollins throws Kofi headfirst into one of the corner posts. So Kofi's completely wiped out. Kane's the only one left in the ring with Reigns. And it's looking bad for Reigns. Kane has him throttled for the choke slam, you know. And Rollins comes flying in from the corner, knees Kane in the face, this big flying knee he's been using. Just knees Kane in the face. And then Reigns hits the ropes and spears the fuck out of Kane. And that's match. So, great match, great finish. They're still putting over the Shield, which is good, of course. They go to another recap. This time, it's of the whole thing with Triple H and Axel, Curtis Axel from earlier. Because they're hyping all this. It's like, for all of those who joined us late, you know, Heyman's debuted his new guy, and it's this... whatever the fuck. Anyways, after that, they cut backstage, and Triple H is getting ready to go. He's in his trunks and everything. He's taping up his wrists. And this stagehander, whoever comes up, and he says, you know, Triple H, the doc says you're not really cleared to go. You're not medically cleared. And Triple H looks at him and says, you know what, you go tell the doc that if he values his job, he'll let me go. Saying that he'll basically fire him if he doesn't let him go. Stupid shit. Anyways, after that, they cut to another backstage scene. Caitlin's walking down the hall with Natalya, and she's got her phone out. And she says, Natalya, I've got the guy's phone number. The secret admirer. And Caitlin's like, how? They don't really explain how. But she says, oh, I've got the number. And... but anyways... They're still walking down the hall the whole time this is happening. And they come across Cody Rhodes. And he's got his phone too. And they're like, oh crap, he's texting. What if it's him? So, Natalya kind of grabs Cody, and Caitlyn grabs his phone out of his hand, and he's like, you know, what the fuck? She grabs it, she's looking through his phone, and Natalya's like, is it him? Is it him? And Caitlyn goes, no. He's not texting, he's posting pictures of himself on the internet. So apparently it's not Cody who's the secret admirer. Anyways, they just kind of, the whole thing just kind of peters out. They cut back to the ring and everything, and Jack Swagger's coming out. And then Lawler jumps up and he says, all right, folks, you voted. Let's see who won. And they bring it up on the Titantron, the graphic or whatever. And of course, Randy Orton was the one who got all the fan votes. So, out comes Randy Orton, and they start having their match. Fairly early in the match, Swagger kicks Randy in the knee, and he starts selling it. Don't know why, but whatever. He keeps selling this knee. Swagger keeps going after it. Towards the finish of the match, Swagger gets the ankle lock on Randy, but he puts it on the wrong leg, or the wrong foot. And Randy's fighting with him and everything, and he drops the foot, and then Swagger picks up the other foot and locks the ankle lock in on that one. So he had the wrong foot the whole time, and so he switches mid-move for no reason. Whatever, it doesn't really matter, because, let's see, Randy knocks Swagger out of the ring, and Swagger jumps right back in. He goes for a clothesline, Randy ducks it, and Swagger turns around and Randy RKO's the fuck out of him. And that's match. So, Randy gets the win. We get another recap. This time, again, it's of Ryback and the ambulance from earlier. So for the second frickin' time, we get this... But yeah, so for the second time tonight, we get this recap of Ryback and the ambulance thing. Whatever. We cut back out to the ring, and out comes Triple H. It's time for the main event already. Yeah, I know. It went by kind of fast, didn't it? In fairness, the show wasn't all that bad, aside from what happens next. But anyways, Triple H comes out, and then out comes Curtis Axel. And they start having their match, and fairly early on, Curtis hits Triple H in the jaw. And afterwards, Triple H is selling it, because the reason the commentators gave is because last night at the pay-per-view, when Brock hit Triple H with the sledgehammer, he cracked him right upside the jaw, and that's pretty much what knocked him out. So, of course, Curtis starts whacking Triple H in the jaw, and it's like he's blacking out, kind of. He's not all there totally. He's just not all there, and he's really selling it. What ends up happening is Triple H goes out of the ring, and he's really groggy, he's really selling it. He goes over to the doctor who's at ringside. And at first he's just like, give me some water. They dump some water over his head, he drinks a little bit. And he thinks he's going to get back in the ring, but he's still really groggy and stuff. He goes back over to the doctor, and the doctor's like looking in his eyes with a flashlight, doing all that medical checking stuff. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? Is the referee counting? He's out of the ring. This should be a count out right here. But no. Triple H goes to get up again, and he basically just falls flat on his face and collapses. And after that, again, the doctor is there, the referee is there, some more people come over and they're checking on him. they essentially just call off the match. And the show just ends. No official word or anything, nothing. The show just ends. So we completely waste this hype on a guy who sucks to debut him as Paul Heyman's new guy. And then we have him go against Triple H in this match. It's just, oh, holy crap, Triple H could actually put somebody over. Of course he's not going to put somebody over. Triple H doesn't give a fuck. He has to protect his ego. But, whatever. That was it for the show, pretty much. They didn't really do anything other than that. This Raw was fairly decent, and you'll notice that I didn't say anything about John Cena because he didn't show his face on this show, of course, because he's hurt after last night. Ryback practically killed him. And now Ryback wants to challenge him to a last man standing match. Or not a last man standing, an ambulance match. Whatever, I don't care. You're just gonna keep this crappy feud going, it's... whatever. But, that was pretty much it for Raw. I think they did announce something for SmackDown that Ambrose was going to be main eventing SmackDown. I think it's going to be the rematch with Kofi for the US title. So we've got that to look forward to on SmackDown.
Have we met?
Yeah. So we've got that to look forward to on SmackDown. And that was pretty much it for Raw, like I said. The only other thing I wanted to talk about is want to take this opportunity to announce that I'm going to be starting a new Let's Play series for the channel. And this is really... the reason why I'm bringing it up here on the Wrestling Rant is because it's wrestling related. If you'll remember all the way back to my WrestleMania video, the first Wrestling Rant I did, you'll remember that towards the end, I mentioned a game called TEW, Total Extreme Wrestling. Now, the reason why I want to do this is because I just went to the website for the game earlier, and apparently they just released a new version of the game. A new game entirely, essentially. The current version that I had was TEW 2010. But I go to the website and it says, oh no, we've got TEW 2013. Now, I don't own the full version of either game, but you can download a trial version, which is essentially the full game, but you have like a time limit to play with it. And it's like 1 year in game time. So you can play for a full year in the game, and then they'll just kind of lock you out. You can start a new game or whatever, but I'm going to start a Let's Play series with this. I may actually get around to actually buying the full version of the game. I know I bought a full version of one of the older versions of the game. I can't remember which one it was, but there were older versions. But it might take me some time to get this up and going because I don't know if I'm going to do the new game or if I'm going to do 2010. And no matter what, I need to get a... the funny thing about the way the game works is it's all text-based. I know that sounds kind of boring, but since they actually charge money for the game, they're not actually legally allowed to include real promotions, real wrestlers and stuff in the game. And they don't. In the actual default game, the way it works is, like I said before, it's a booking simulator. You run the promotion, you're in charge of hiring and firing, booking the matches and the shows and everything, who wins and who loses and all that good stuff. And, but the way it works with the default game is there's no real wrestlers or promotions in the game when you start. It uses what they call a database, and it keeps track of all the wrestlers, all the different workers, because it's not just the wrestlers. You've got backstage people, road agents, you have to have referees, you have to have writers and bookers and people like that to actually help you run the shows and everything. And there's a lot of micromanagement to stuff, and you have to keep track. You actually have to have shows. Like in the database, it has a record of SmackDown, Raw, all the different shows. Of course, not in the default database. But you can download community-made databases, and they're, of course, free. But you can do this, and you can use real-world stuff. So I've found a database that's actually quite good, and I will give credit to the people who made it when the time comes, when I start the series. But I need to find a more updated version of it, because the one that I have is very outdated. It's from last year. So I have to find a more updated version of it. See if I can go from there, because I'm kind of running on the hopes that I'm going to have all the newest updates. You'll remember I had that video from just a couple of days ago with the recent releases and the people who were supposedly signing with the WWE. I wanted to have all of that stuff included with the game when I start doing the Let's Play of it. So... But yeah, it's going to take me a while to get everything, get the new updated version, get everything up to date and all the people, and the funny thing about it is I won't actually be playing as any of the major promotions. The database that I have, and of course the updated one, will include WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, all the actual American promotions that do exist, and all the wrestlers for them and everything. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my own company, and the funny thing is it's actually a company that did exist. Again, this is like pro wrestling fans. If you remember from about 2006 or 2007-ish, there was a company called Wrestling Society X. And it had a show on MTV. And it didn't last for very long, because of course MTV's not the kind of channel that would have something like that. I don't even know why they did it. But, whatever. I'm essentially going to resurrect this company. And I'm going to be trying to get as many of the people who were in the company... I'm going to try and get as many of them as I can. You know, I may have to, of course, tweak the database and change it so that they're working for the WSX. But, The other thing about Wrestling Society X, probably one of the reasons why it didn't last all that long, is because it was kind of weird the way they did it. It was pro wrestling, of course, but they had this really weird angle to it, where they made it way over the top and goofy, to where they had these really hardcore matches where I'm sure you could look up some of the stuff on YouTube or maybe some of the other video sites from across the net, but they had like some of these really hardcore matches, and one of them in particular was well, I don't remember exactly the match, but they had a casket on the outside of the ring, and it was kind of uplifted off the ground. And the match, it was actually for the main title in the company. The only title at the time, actually. And it was Vampiro versus X-Pac, Six-Pac, whatever you want to call him. And it was for the title. And so, Vampiro gets Pac on the apron and lifts him up for a tombstone because that's his finisher, the tombstone piledriver. He tombstones him into this casket, and it blows the hell up, and the camera's all shaking, and there's sparks and shit shooting out of the casket. They went really over the top with this stuff, to the point where they had like these electrical things set up around the ring, and when people got zapped, there was sparks shooting out, and the camera would shake. They went really over the top with it, and it was really kind of goofy. Now, when I run the company for my game, I don't think I'm going to do that kind of stuff, because it really just seems goofy. But, like I said, I will try to get back as many of the people who were in the company as I can, and I'm even, of course, going to grab some other people because the roster was fairly small, and we're going to try and get it a bit bigger. And I'm going to try to include some female wrestlers and have like a decent female division. I'm going to add more titles, of course, to it, and I'm going to do it my own way. But I'm going to try and keep a lot of the feel. Because the show would always broadcast from the same place, a lot like TNA used to do, where they had, TNA of course had their Impact Zone. WSX had a place they called the Bunker, the WSX Bunker. And it was this very small, it looked like an old warehouse that had just been converted to be like a wrestling arena. They had this really artificially worn out looking ring. The ropes were all worn looking, and the turnbuckle pads was just padding wrapped in duct tape. But whatever. It was supposed to have this really gritty, underground, secret society of wrestling sort of feel to it. And I kind of want to keep as much of that intact as I can. And again, the roster, and I want to see if I can bring back the commentators that were there, and they also had this guy who was the ring announcer. He was also kind of over the top, but in a good way. And I'm going to see if I can get that, and it doesn't really matter, because it's not like you can actually see or hear any of the stuff, because it's all text-based. But I just want to do that to just try and to kind of keep that feel. And again, I'm going to run it my own way. But I just wanted to announce that I'm going to be starting that up sometime here soon as I can get the updates, and I'm possibly going to be actually buying the full version of the game, whether it's 2010 or the new 2013. Apparently the new game is supposed to have a lot more improvements over, of course, every new edition of the game there's going to be improvements, but there's supposed to be a lot of them. Okay.
My inventory is full.
But yeah, so there's going to be that stuff. And, so yeah, I just wanted to announce that. So, that will do it for this episode of the Wrestling Rant. Do stay tuned for the next episode. It'll be somewhere around probably Saturday or Sunday. Like I said last Friday, or not last Friday, but the SmackDown video, my work schedule has changed, so I may not be available Friday night to actually watch SmackDown. So I'm going to have to wait a day or two to for my online source to upload it, and I'll be able to watch it online, and then I'll be able to take my notes and do the show. But it will be sometime, probably Saturday or Sunday, and I will do that like normal. I may do another wrestling rant before then. I might find another topic to talk about, and
My pack is full.
we'll get around to that. And like I said, I'll be doing this new Let's Play series with Total Extreme Wrestling, whether it's 2010 or 2013, I'm not sure, but we'll get that up started sometime soon. We will see you next time on the show. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.